Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Part 1, Summary of Lord Gaura's Pastimes, Adi Khanda, first chapter, 99th verse. Adi Khande Prabhu re Hari Achila Chore, Chore Bhandaiya Prabhu Ailena Ghare. In the Adi Khand, the Lord is kidnapped by thieves who become bewildered and return the Lord to his home. So we'll read that in detail. Beautiful pastime. आदि खंडे जगदीश हिरण्यर घरे नैवेद्य खाइला प्रभु श्री हरिवास रे. In the Adi Khanda, the Lord eats grains in the house of Jagdish and Hiranya on the day of Ekadashi. The appearance day of the Lord Ekadashi and a few Dwadashis are called Harivasar. On these days, the servants of Lord Hari abstain from all kinds of activities and vow to serve Hari while fasting. But since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of God and He did not exhibit pastimes like fasting on Harivasa, which must be observed by His devotees, rather, He accepted various foodstuffs that were offered to Him. So Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, they were devotees of the Lord, but they used to live quite far from Yogpit, where Lord was, Nimai Pandit was, and somehow on one Ekadashi, Nimai started to cry, baby Nimai, and everybody was worried, what's happening? Why are you crying? What can we do to make you stop crying? And then finally he said, I want to eat what Jagdish and Hiranya have prepared in their home. And Jagannath Mishra, what are you talking about? I mean, cannot just go and ask for food from somebody else. But he kept on crying. Then people said, oh, let's go. We have to get him to eat whatever he wants and make him stop crying. And when Jagdish and Hiranyapandit heard that Nimai wants to eat whatever they have cooked, and they had cooked really feast in their home at that day. They said, how did he know? They said, okay, take everything. Whatever he wants to eat, we'll give him. So actually this Jagdish and Hiranyapandit, they were Brahman Patnis in Krishna Leela. So when Krishna, Balram and Gop Sakhas, they were hungry one day, very hungry, and in the house of Brahmins they were performing yajna. And Krishna and Balram, they sat in he sent his Sakhas, okay, as the Brahmins, that Krishna and Balram have come and they're very hungry, give us something to eat. So they came, the Brahmins said, no, the yajna is still going on, we cannot just give you to eat. Let the yajna be completed, Vishnu Arti, Vishnu Bhog has to be done, then we can give you something to eat. So the boys came back. Krishna said, okay, just go to their wives, Brahman Patnis, and ask them, tell them Krishna Balram are very hungry. So they went to the wives, and wives said, what? They are hungry there in the forest? They're so hungry, they just packed everything and they went to the forest to feed Krishna Balram. They didn't even listen to their Brahman Patis. So Bhagavatam says that was a perfection of yajna actually, feeding Krishna and Balram. But Brahmins didn't understand, but Brahman Patnis, because of their soft nature and love for Krishna and Balram, they came and they fed them. And the same, they appeared as Jagdish and Hiranyapandit. And Krishna, as Nimai, wanted to eat their offering. Adi Khande Shishu Chale Kari Akandana Bolaila Sarva Mukhya Shri Hari Kirtan. In the Adi Khanda, the Lord tricks everyone into chanting the holy names of Hari by crying as a child. It's the nature of children to cry when they are in pain or in need of something. In order to stop such crying, various methods are employed to distract their attention. Following such behavior, ladies who were on the level of motherly relations with the Lord also chanted the names of Hari in order to divert Gaur Hari's attention. In order to stop his crying in this way, Gaur Hari demanded that the ladies chant the holy names, which is a religious principle for this age. So Nimai was establishing Sankirtan from the very beginning. He was little, he would start crying and he would only stop when the ladies would start chanting in unison. I mean, they were doing Kirtan. Then he would stop chanting. As soon as they stopped Kirtan, Nimai would start crying again. Again, they had to start the Kirtan. Adi khande lok varja andira asane vasiya mayere tattva kahila pane. In the Adikhand, the Lord sits on rejected cooking pots and instructs his mother on the absolute truth. According to ordinary behavior, earthen pots that have been used for sinful purposes are considered impure and thrown away. The place where such earthen pots are thrown is also generally considered impure. Um, Actually, it is used, I don't know why he wrote, earthen pots that have been used for sinful purposes are considered impure. No, the pot that were used in the house of course, Shachi Mata, Jagannath Misha, there cannot be any sinful purpose, they were used for cooking purposes. So, and after cooking, just like in Jagannath Puri, they all cook in earthen pots, and after that, they just throw the pots away. They don't reuse it. So, in order to exhibit his pastime of equal vision, the Lord rejected considerations of purity and impurity by establishing impure places as pure. When Mother Shachi desired to understand the real truth behind this pastime, the Lord instructed her in absolute knowledge. Conceptions of superior and inferior in regard to items of this world are not supported by absolute knowledge. In one's constitutional position, everything is perceived equally. The Lord imparted this truth to his mother. And not just this truth. Actually, Jagannath Mishra had stopped Nimai from going to school. No more studies. Because his elder brother, Vishwarup, he had studied so much, and in the end, he became renounced. He took sannyas and went away. And Jagannath Mishra was scared that Nimai will also follow the suit. So he said, no more studies. So Nimai wanted to study, but Pitaji said no studies. So one day Nimai sat on this at this place on the earthen pots which were used for cooking and not pure enough. And Shachimata, Jagannath Mishra wasn't home. Shachimata went, what are you doing, Nimai? Come down. And his whole body was covered with a black soot from the pots. And Nimai, although he gave this knowledge, but he said, you don't send me to school, so how do I know what is good and what is bad for me? And then the neighbors came, you're not sending Nimai to school? What kind of parents you are? Our sons, they don't want to study. We force them to study. And this Nimai, he's a Pandit, he wants to study. And you're not making him study. Then finally Shachimata relented, and then Jagannath Mishra also relented, sent him to school again. Adi khande gaurangera chapalya apar, shishu gana sangya jaina gokula vihara. In the Adi Khanda, Gaurang displays unlimited restlessness and imitates his Gokul pastimes with his friends. As Krishna in his Vrindavan pastimes played with his cowherd boyfriends in various ways, the Lord in his Navadvip pastimes played with his Brahman boyfriends in various mischievous ways. So we see all these young little boys, how mischievous they are. They're just playing around whole day and committing, doing all sorts of activities. Of course, these days they're all into mobile phones. But earlier, we all used to just be outside, have our breakfast or lunch, and just be on the streets in somebody's house and playing different games. So just imagine how much mischief Krishna and Balram and then later Nimai, they must have caused. Because all the mischiefs originate from them only. How mischievous they must be. आदिखंडे कैलेन आरंभ पढ़िते अल्पे अध्यापक हैला शकल शास्त्रेते. In the Adikhand, the Lord begins his studies, and in a short time he becomes a teacher of the scriptures. During the course of the Lord's ordinary studies, he quickly became a highly learned professor. This extraordinary display of scholarship was not the result of intense study. The Lord exhibited his proficiency in all forms of knowledge in the course of his ordinary studies. He quickly became a highly learned professor. Yes, of course, all the knowledge comes from him only. But he accepted a teacher, Gangadas Pandit, and but very soon he just displayed his scholastic abilities. And big scholar, although he considered himself only a scholar of grammar, Sanskrit grammar. But the reason why he displayed this pastime of Nimai Pandit, we have no other, even Krishna, Bhagavan Ram, they never displayed the scholar abilities. Why he displayed these? To show to the world, even if somebody is such a big jnani, because later on he had to preach and his followers preached and they had to um, establish the right knowledge. But this was to show to the world, even if somebody is such a big scholar, he cannot develop Krishna Prem. Krishna Prem is completely different from all this scholarship. Of course, end of all this scholarship is Krishna Prem. But just by scholarship, only until one takes shelter of a real guru, a Vaishnava guru, who also has love for Krishna, one cannot develop love for Krishna. Adikhande Jagannath Mishparaloka Vishwarupa Sannyasa Sachira Duishoka. In the Adikhanda, Shachi Devi laments for both the disappearance of Jagannath Mishra and the acceptance of sannyas by Vishwarupa. Mother Shachi had two reasons for lamenting. The first was the disappearance of the Lord's father, and the second was separation from her son, the Lord's elder brother, who took sannyas. So Vishwarupa, he was also a scholar and he had studied the Vedas and he would go sit in the association of Advaita Acharya, Shivas Thakur and other devotees and discuss Krishna Katha. But later when Jagannath Mission and Shachi Maharaj were talking about getting him married, he was so renounced that he just took sannyas. He left home and took sannyas, never came back. And in his separation, Jagannath Mishra left his body. And Shachi Mata had two reasons for lamentation: disappearance of Lord's father and taking sannyas by Vishwarupa. And Nimai used to console her, "Oh Maya, I'm here, I won't take sannyas, I will not go away." But later on, he also went away. Adi Khande Vidya Vela Sera Maharambha Pashandi Dekhaye Jaina Murti Mantadambha. In the Adi Khanda, at the beginning of the Lord's educational pastimes, she appears to the atheists as the personification of pride. Since the Lord ridiculed the foolish people by his exhibition of scholarship, he was regarded by the atheists as the personification of pride. The devotees of the Lord, who accept his qualities as all auspicious, were overjoyed on seeing his scholastic pastimes. Envious persons shook in fear of him and accused him of being proud. Although he was not proud at all, but atheists or envious people, They just thought he is very proud of his scholarship, his knowledge. There is a saying, it's called Atmavat Manyate Jagat. So whatever is in my heart, in my consciousness, in my mentality, I see the world accordingly. If I am proud, I see everybody as being proud of their possessions, of their qualifications, whatever they have. If I see, if I am in need or not in need, actually, if I am desiring of accumulating wealth, I see everybody, oh, they see he's also making so much money, she's also making money, this and that. Because I have this in my heart. So, so the best thing is to purify myself. Then I can see everything properly. But this purification, it just doesn't come just like that. It takes a while, it takes time. If I'm envious, I see everybody as envious. See, that's why Mahabhagavad, he says, everybody is serving Krishna much better than I am. Because he himself is serving Krishna. He has no other motives and no other uh, desires or affections or anything else in his heart. Even if somebody says thief or somebody is doing all sorts of nonsense, the Mahabhagavad sees he is also serving. They all are serving Krishna. So the envious people or atheists, actually, they are very proud of themselves. And when they would look at Imai being such a scholar, they would think he is proud. Adi khande sakal padu yagana meli, jana veera tarange nirbhaya jal keli. In the Adi Khand, the Lord, along with other students, sports fearlessly in the waters of the Ganges. The word jal keli indicates swimming and splashing water. So, wonderful description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Jal Keli Vihar in this book. Adi Khande Gaurangera Sarva Shastra Jai Tribhuvane Hena Nahi Yeshamukha. In the Adi Khanda, Lord Gaurang masters all the scriptures. No one in the three worlds can compete with him. The Lord defeated all scholars by the strength of his great learning. Neither the spiritual master of the demigods who reside in the heavenly planets, nor the scholars of this planet, nor the so-called scholars of the abominable lower planets could stand before the Lord in debate. First of all, he is a Lord. He is the source of all the knowledge. But even in this pastime, he learned from his guru and he was such a great scholar. Nobody could stand him in the debate. He would defeat everybody. There's this pastime of defeating Keshav Kashmiri. Adi Khande Banga Deshe Prabhu Ragamana Prachya Bhumi Tirtha Haila Paye Shri Charan. In the Adi Khand, the Lord travels to East Bengal, modern day Bangladesh, which becomes a holy place by the touch of his lotus feet. A few places in East Bengal, Bangladesh, that the Pandavas did not visit are still known as impure because the pure Bhagirathi river does not flow there. In his travels to Bangladesh, Sri Gaurasundar turned those places into tirthas by the sanctified touch of his lotus feet. Yeah, and that part of East Bengal, see, I mean, the sad part is when the partition of India happened. First of all, that was very sad, dividing the country into three parts. And then, because the leaders, Congress leaders, they were not devotees, they had no devotional attitude. Because if they were Vaishnavas, devotees, they wouldn't have let go all these wonderful places into another country, into a Muslim country. They would say, no, this should be remain as part of India. Similarly, towards Pakistan side also, Nankana Sahib and so many other spots, various spots, they should have remained in India. But but see, this is what happens when the leaders are not devotees. They won't understand the importance of those places. Like in Bangladesh, there's a place where Haridas Thakur appeared. I'm forgetting the name of the place, where Narottam Das Thakur went. So many places are there. They should have been kept as part of India. Adi Khande Parv, Parigrahe Ravi Jai, Sheshe Raja Panditera, Kanya Parinay. The Adi Khand describes the disappearance of Lakshmi Priya and the Lord's second marriage with the daughter of the Raj Pandit. The Lord's first wife was Lakshmi Priya Devi. The word Vijay in this verse indicates that she gave up her body and returned to her own abode. The Lord then married Shri Vishnu Priya Devi, the daughter of Sanatan Mishra, who was the king's priest. So, yes, amazing description of marriage. These marriages are given. Adi Khande Vayu Deha Mandya Kari Chala Prakashila Prema Bhakti Vikara Sakal. In the Adi Khand, the Lord displays ecstatic devotional sentiments on the pretense of an imbalance of bodily airs. The Lord exhibited various transformations of ecstatic love on the pretext of gastric disorder. So, the Lord, after disappearance of Lakshmi Priya, and he had the ecstatic symptoms, sattvic vikar, but he could not show it to the world. This is what is happening, and he was, oh, this is a gastric disorder, imbalance of bodily airs, and so he was showing in pain and discomfort. So Shachi Mata called Shrivas Thakur. Shrivas Thakur came and he looked at the Lord and he said, if this is gastric disorder, I would love to have this kind of disease. Because he understood what Nimai was showing. And then later on, in ecstatic love, the symptoms subsided and the Lord was okay. Adi Khande Sakal Bhaktere Shakti Diya Apane Brahmena Maha Pandita Haya. In the Adi Khand, the Lord empowers the devotees and wanders about as a great scholar. During his life as a scholar, the Lord will enlighten his students while wandering about Navadvip. Adi Khande Divya Paridhana Divya Sukha Anande Bhashena Shachi Dekhi Chandramukha. In the Adikhand, Mother Shachi floats in an ocean of happiness on seeing the moon-like face of the Lord, who dresses enchantingly and enjoys transcendental pleasure. The word Divya Paridhan refers to exotic clothes. Divya Sukh means unsurpassable, transcendental bliss. The word Chandramukha means a bright, cool, shining face. So he used to dress very nicely, enchantingly, and enjoys transcendental pleasure. Means all his dhoti would be very nicely folded and his upper cloth and his and if he was wearing turban that day, it would be very nicely kept. Of course, once he would start dancing, then comes into ecstasy, then everything goes haywire. But he loved to dress very nicely. Adi Khande Gaurangir Digvijay Jaya Sheshe Kari Lena Tara Sarvabandhakshaya. In the Adikhand, Lord Gaurang defeats the Digvijay scholar and ultimately delivers him from all bondage. Lord Gaurang defeated Keshav Acharya, Digvijay from Kashmir, and thus vanquished his pride. So Keshav Acharya or Keshav Kashmiri, he was known as. He was Digvijay Pandit from Kashmir. And this was only 540 years ago. Means Kashmir was a high seat of learning at that time. Shankaracharya went there, established a mutt over there. And so if Digvijay Pandit is from Kashmir, means there should be other Pandits also, very, very learned scholars. And now they claim, oh, it's all Muslim land. No. Sri Gaurang removed Keshav's adoration for material knowledge by instructing him on the transcendental science of Krishna. Keshav could spontaneously compose and recite various types of poems. He composed many original verses in glorification of the Ganges. Original verses he composed, 100 verses, right away on the spot. And the Lord retained them all in his heart. He spoke like it said Jhanjavat, like a flowing air. And Nimai retained or memorized everything. After the recitation, the Lord pointed out various grammatical faults which left Keshav struck with wonder. Keshav received an opportunity from the Lord to gather the conclusions of the philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference in the form of Sri Radha Govinda worship. Later on, this Keshav composed an elaborate commentary on Nimbarka's Vedanta Kostub, named it Kostub Prabha. Various shlokas and prescriptions in the compilations of Vaishnava rituals, Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas, are taken from Kram Deepika, which was composed by this Keshav. By his causeless mercy, Gaurasundar conferred on Keshav the title Acharya among the Vaishnavas. Nowadays, many less intelligent pseudo followers of Keshav try to establish him as Vartman Pradarshak Guru of Sriman Mahaprabhu. So, Vartman Pradarshak Guru means one who shows the path of bhakti, shows the path, not the Shiksha Guru, not Disha, just shows. In order to protect these people from the offense of such useless, proud attempts and their reaction, Vrindavandas Thakur has written here, Shesha Karilena Taras Sarva Bandhakshay. Gauranga ultimately delivers him from all bondage. So Mahaprabhu was the real guru of Keshav. The Bhakti Ratnaka lists Keshav's predecessors in his disciplic succession. Srila Prabhupada quotes this list in his purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. The name Keshav Kashmiri may be found in the first chapter of Vaishnav Manjusha. So, of course, later on he composed an elaborate commentary, and he was a Digvijay Pandit, but he just surrendered in front of Nimai Pandit. Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.